All right, welcome everybody to our March 3rd, 2025 council meeting. When I get the mics turned on, welcome to the March to the council meeting. Call this meeting to order. Our pastor for tonight to do the invocation had some emergencies. He will not be able to show up tonight. So we're going to have a moment of silence. So everybody bow, please. Thank you. All right, public comments. I think we have one. Is anybody signed up? I was ahead of our fire chief. Thank you, sir. All right, Will Atherton. State your name and your address. Welcome.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Will Atherton at 126 West Clay. Most of you probably realize that's a business address downtown. I just wanted to take a moment of your time to say thank you. Thank you to the City Council for the Downtown Exterior Improvement Grant. It is a significant program that helps us downtown. It improves our city and also helps us attract more people to our downtown businesses. But I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you. I know you get a lot of people that speak, but I wanted to just give something positive back. Thank you for all y'all do.
Well, thank you very much. It is a tremendous program. That is really cool that the downtown can continue to use this to improve our downtown, and that's super. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, before we get to our consent agenda, I would like to announce some good news. We heard today through the Triad Business Journal that Target announced in our shopping center out on Corey, on Trollingwood Road, the Corey development. So for a lot of people, that is really great news. And for the city, it is really exciting news for us. And so having said that, let's move on to consent agenda. We have two final plat reapproval for Oakwood and the fiscal 2024-25 audit contract. And anybody from the council has any comments? If not,
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
we have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to for the consent agenda. All right, we're opening public hearing, and our own Ashley Ownby, our development director, is going to get it kicked off.
Good evening. Before you is a request to conditionally rezone property on North First Street, which totals just over 60 acres. The property is owned by Kirkpatrick and Associates, which is the party making the request for the rezoning. Currently, the site has 3 zoning districts. R8 consumes most of it, which is a residential zoning district. O&I, which is office and institutional. And then you'll see a odd shape going into a development that was approved just over 2 years ago for Potter's Mill that is currently zoned R8 CD. The site is also located in the general watershed area, so an overlay district generally appears on our zoning map. It's not showing here. And this is a protected watershed, so there are built upon area restrictions. As you can see on the map, the surrounding zoning is largely residential with adjacent R8 conditional district zoning surrounding the site. The site is located primarily within the Mebane extraterritorial jurisdiction. So we have zoning authority. City utilities are available to serve the site, and an annexation would be required before connecting to those utilities. The property is located on the Alamance County side of Mebane. The site is currently forested. There is a single family home on the property with some accessory structures, but as you can tell, it is largely wooded. Surrounding uses match with the zoning map that I showed previously, and that most of them are residential. We also have seen a lot of growth in this area, so there are approved developments, some that are under construction, where the reality that you see driving on North First Street doesn't match with what you're seeing here on the screen. You'll see a lot of red dirt across from the site with North First Street townhomes, and then south of the site with Potter's Mill. And then, as you all know, at last month's meeting, the Preserve at Mill Creek development was approved, which would be adjacent to this site. Our comprehensive land development plan identifies the area in a mixed-use growth strategy area, which would support both commercial and residential components. And there is conservation area on the site as well. Our current comprehensive plan identifies conservation area based on contiguous forest cover and also the presence of stream, which is conditions that apply to this property. As a conditional zoning request, a site-specific plan does carry with the rezoning, and that site plan is included in your packet with screenshots in this PowerPoint. The planned unit development includes 192 townhomes, 36 single-family detached homes, and approximately 15,000 square feet of office retail space. The private recreation primarily associated with the residential component includes pocket parks, a multi-purpose field, natural trails, which is through area that's being preserved, and a pool and playground amenity. More than 23 acres in private open space is shown on the site plan. Related to public recreation, the developer will be contributing to the public multi-use path network that's emerging in this area, connecting to the Potter's Mill development over the creek, to Preserve at Mill Creek here, and then also here along this main road, and then continuing the multi-use path along North First Street. There are conditions associated with the site-specific plan, including reduced setbacks for the sides of the townhome and single-family lots. The townhome setback is requested to be reduced to 3 feet. However, the applicant will maintain a 20-foot separation between the townhome buildings, consistent with our typical standards for the standalone townhome developments. And then for the single family, the side setback minimum is requested to be reduced to 6 feet, and our standard is 10 feet. Additionally, with the planned unit development, we have a standard that says the perimeter setback between the non-residential component and any adjacent residentially used property should be 150 feet. The applicant is showing a reduction in that. However, they are maintaining the required landscape buffer and are proposing to enhance it. Additionally, they have included a list on the cover sheet of the site plan that restricts the non-residential uses on that portion of the property. Finally, the applicant is showing a 50-foot wide streetscape along North First Street, which is greater than what would typically be required. A traffic impact analysis was required of the developer, which was reviewed by city staff and also the North Carolina Department of Transportation. And they are required to make improvements at both entrances with turn lanes, both left and right at the southern entrance, and then a roundabout on North First Street here at the northern entrance, which would be done in coordination with the adjacent developer for the Preserve at Mill Creek. The NCDOT letter also includes some information about internal protected stem lengths, which would allow for driveways not to inhibit turning cars into the development. Are there any questions for me?
So it'll be the packet under the streetscape mentions they're proposing a 50-foot streetscape, but then it says the UDO requirements are a minimum 20-foot semi-opaque streetscape, but I think you mentioned 100. Can you clarify that for me?
Oh, it is, they're proposing 50 and our requirement is 20. If I misspoke, I apologize, but what's written in the
Okay, so
packet is correct.
they're in excess of our requirement.
That's correct, yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Side setbacks, you indicated, they're wanting a reduction to 3 feet, but they will still maintain 20 feet. I guess 10 feet on each side of the property line. How's that monitored? Just by the construction plans?
With every townhome building that's permitted, we require a separation to be shown between the adjacent building. So we will look at it in construction plan review that happens through the technical review process, but also the planner assigned to review the zoning permits for each building as it's permitted would be looking for that condition as well.
Well, the applicant may go over this, but it's a little unusual to hear a request for a 3-foot setback, but actually the townhome is going to be set back 10 feet from the property line. What's going to?
Well, the property line will be different. So it will be set back 3 feet from the property line, but there will be common area in between the two properties.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Good evening,
Good evening, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. Mr. Manager, welcome to Mebane. My name is Tony Tate. I'm a landscape architect and land planner with TMT LA Associates in Durham. Address is 5011 South Park Drive in Durham. Have quite a group here with me tonight. Have Mr. Kirkpatrick here, who is the owner and developer. Have quite a contingent from the DRB group, who is going to be the builder on this site, and have our civil engineers present here tonight for questions. So should be able to answer any question that you have. So Ashley did a great job of going over the requirements and took most of my thunder, but I think everybody knows where this project is. This is the same development team completely, from developer to builder to planner to civil engineer, as the project across the street with DRB Group that's under construction now. Those units should be going vertical here very soon. I think building permits are in the inspections department now. The comprehensive plan for this site is for mixed use, and we actually took over this site from a previous developer that had this site under contract for many years, trying to do a more intense mixed-use project. And so when we took it over, wanted to kind of get some buy-in. I think we met with a lot of you during that process of trying to come up with a plan that we felt like would be better for the neighborhood out there. We kept a little bit of non-residential uses there. One of the feedback suggestions was the previous plan just had too much non-residential and commercial development. So we pared that back quite a bit. What we're proposing now is 68 26-foot wide townhomes, 124 20-foot wide townhomes, 36 single-family residences, and then the non-residential is capped at 15,000 square feet. This is a difference from what there is across the street. All of those are all 20-foot wide townhomes, and so we've mixed it up here and got some larger townhomes and single families that'll give a wider range of product types and price ranges within the development. So go through these. There's a site which Ashley has already gone over. I'll back up to that one. This particular one, you can see where we're connecting the sidewalk and the multi-use pass system to here to Potter's Mill. That location was selected because of the floodplain goes down right there. So we're building a bridge across that stream there, connecting up through the development and then out to 119, where it will reach back up with another one from the northern side of the preserve and ultimately out to the park right there. So it's creating a large link of what's getting people from downtown out to the park out there. So we're excited about that. And that's, there's a fee based on number of units between the developers out there to get that done, that section of it done. So Um, as Ashley mentioned, this is conditional rezoning. And Mr. Bradley, as far as your question about the townhomes, the townhomes are the same width apart. There's a 3-foot setback off of each one. And then the remainder of that section in the middle will be common open space. And so it helps the homeowners association just maintain what's in between buildings. It's going to be a landscape maintenance package for all of the townhomes that they're maintenance free for the homeowners. So all of their landscaping, their yards and everything will be taken care of. So it just helps the homeowners association manage between the buildings. So that's what that one is. We had a request to reduce the buffer width of a PUD, non-residential to residential properties on the outside. So that was something that sort of picked up from the previous plan and have a similar situation there. But again, we've pared that down. We don't have as many uses available there. So it's a smaller list, and some of the uses are restricted to help keep that more of a neighborhood service oriented type commercial there that will help. It's gonna be a lot of people coming out through the street out to 119 North First Street as so you can see by this plan, one of the other items that's listed in the comprehensive plan is the besides being mixed use, it also talks about a conservation type development with a higher density, but what that allows for is all of the green space you see around the outsides. This is about an 8-acre plot here where we're going to have some natural walking trails out through there. They'll be tied into here where the amenity is. It'll be a swimming pool amenity that will be available to the townhomes across the street, being the same under the same HOA. And then another large section down here where we also have some trails that'll tie into the multi-use path as well. We've got some pocket parks located one here. There's another one here. And then the main kind of open space in the development is a large green space here, which is larger than a football field. I think it's 180 feet wide. Football field's 150 feet wide. It's over 400 feet long. So that's a very significant open space there. We feel like that'll be, or if somebody comes along, if there's a coffee shop here or something like that, they can walk across the street and like sit in the park area. So they would feel like those uses will go well together. Another thing we think is important is these two streets coming out of the preserve, this one here and this one that ties into their street system. It's a higher volume of traffic, obviously, because we got people coming in through there. And so we've made a conscious effort to keep as many units from facing on that street with driveways. So this strip right here is really the only place where we have units facing on there. We've got a green space and, there's no units facing on this one at all. So that accompanied with turning the units so everything's not lined up straight going down the street. It gets a little monotonous. So, we've turned units that face inward in a lot of different places. All these units face the park. So we think that's an asset to the community. So it's not so regimented or boring. So I think Ashley mentioned that there's 23 acres of open space. We are bound by the watershed impervious restrictions to 30% here. So that just creates a lot of green space out there that'll be left vegetated. So we held a neighborhood meeting. Nobody showed up. And so that accompanied with the unanimous decision by the planning board. We hope we'll get your support, and we're all here to answer any questions that you might have.
Council have any questions? Mr. Tate?
I had a couple of questions. So you referenced the restricted uses on the non-residential space. Are you able to kind of give a quick highlight of what the allowable uses may be?
I mean, I think there's still quite a few uses that are available, but like, again, we're looking for a coffee shop or a yoga studio, or might even be a daycare spot for a daycare in there, or something that would be, like I said, neighborhood service kind of uses that people can walk to those things from the preserve, or from Potter's Mill, or from across the street, or even Mill Creek, and be able to walk down there. So it's not a great deal of mixed of non-residential commercial, but it doesn't take much to get somebody interested in be able to walk to something that they can take part in. So
Where's there a list?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought I'd heard.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so my name's Andrew Stocks, the civil engineer for the project. Our address is, I almost gave my PO box. That doesn't help you too much, but it's 801 East Washington Street in Nashville, North Carolina. On the cover sheet of the civil plans, I think there's one included in your packet. On the right side, there's a list of the uses. It says all permitted uses in the Mebane UDO 4-1-1 table are permitted use shall be allowed in the commercial tract as stated for the zone, except for the following. So I don't know exactly what's in that zone, but the ones we have taken out are family care home, temporary emergency shelter, a caretaker dwelling, communication tower under 50 foot in height, home occupation, satellite dish antennas, athletic field, private club or recreational facility, outdoor, cemetery, and then some other information similar to a cemetery, an elementary or secondary school, a fire station or emergency medical service, communications tower, public safety, major utility facilities, minor utility facilities, small wireless facility, telecommunications, a bona fide farm operation, except a commercial feeder and breeder operation, temporary portable storage containers, and yard sale. So that was removed from what's currently allowed.
Thank you.
I'll just clarify that our planned unit development standards only allow for uses that would be permitted in our central business district, so downtown, to exist in this type of development.
Great. That's helpful. Thank you. And then my other question, I know you referenced the watershed and the green space on the site plan. So you show, I get that you're going to have kind of a clear open field that's lined with trees over in that space right there. Yes. But the space kind of on the south side, that, and then again over on the left of the screen, are the existing trees going to be left there, or is that going to be clear cut?
the green that you see on the plan is based off of the preliminary grading plan that was done. And so there are stormwater ponds here and here that are sort of placeholders until we get to CDs. But we know we have to get stormwater design or stormwater management facilities in there. And then outside of that, everything you see in green is outside of that grading limits line. So all that will be left undisturbed.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Tate, have you done any other mixed-use development like this in any other cities? Or is this your first one?
No, I've done quite a few. I think that's probably one of my niche. Got one in Elon right now.
Okay.
That's probably 160 acres. That's got a hotel, apartment, 5-story apartments, grocery store. I mean, it's a large mixed use in Elon. Did one in Raleigh that's 400 acres, 541 North in Raleigh. That's a large 2,500 unit, 80 acre commercial district in the center. Southern Village in Chapel Hill. Worked in that one for the last almost 30 years, not 30, since 1995. So
Thank you.
Jade, I have several questions, if I may. Regarding the commercial space, how much investigation has been done that the market demands commercial space in this location, and that if you build it, it will be occupied quickly and it will be successful?
we've not done any market research, but we feel the number of with the number of units that have been put in here, there's probably 3,000 people coming in here. Quite a few of them are going by that intersection every day. So we're obviously not going to build one if there's not a demand for it yet. But over time, there's going to be quite a few people coming by this location. So
And for our reference, 15,000 square feet. I mean, most of us don't think in terms of square feet. I mean, how much space is that? How many businesses can fit in 15,000 square feet?
the new Dunkin' Donut building out in Hallfields, that one is probably 7,500 square feet. So it'd be
Huh.
2 buildings about that size.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. Because I don't want to see, a strip building there be vacant for years, or, just not be successful, not have energy behind it. That doesn't bring value to the city.
Right.
Are you doing anything in terms of outdoor seating or patios or that type of, or is that just down the road? Those decisions aren't made in advance.
We are showing patios on each end of the buildings. So as those particular uses, and obviously with COVID and people wanting to sit outside and get fresh air, we're at this point in this stage of the game, we're showing patios outside of those where if it's a restaurant or a deli or ice cream shop, there's room outside of those to get outside on the patios and
Okay.
eat.
Is that a voluntary condition or is that just a rendering?
Just a rendering. We're trying to show the most logical way to set up those units.
Okay. Moving off the commercial to the setbacks and the 3-foot setback and stuff, how close will the closest townhome buildings be to one another? Not from a setback perspective, but how many feet from building to building?
20 feet.
20 feet
Same
between
thing as if
buildings?
it was a 10-foot side yard setback.
Okay. All right. And then, how did you decide this makeup of single family versus townhouse versus commercial? I mean, why didn't you do more single family, or why didn't you do all townhomes, or why didn't you just not do any commercial? Can you talk through the thought process behind that?
Well, the kind of the perimeters that you see there where we're butting up to other residential units, we've kind of softened that with the single family units on the south side and the east side.
Okay. Can you highlight with your pointer the single family just for clarity?
So these units here are single family. We've got a large undisturbed space here as you're coming up 119. You'll have a large treed section here on the backs up to those. These are single family here that backs up to these units in the preserve.
Okay.
Where we tied into the preserve here. All of these are single family units here. And then the townhomes units were kind of located in the middle, so to speak, on the high ground. And then also, they're closer to this non-residential section here.
Okay.
And so that was sort of a carryover from the previous development. They had non-residential here. This road is somewhat dictated because it ties into the northern entrance of North First Street Townhomes. That's where the future roundabout's going to be. So that kind of made sense for that transition of density from there as you go back to the south and to the east.
Yeah. There's some complex interactions here between Preserve and Potter's Mill and North First and yourself. That's not going to become a headache for the city in terms of how all that works, or maybe that's a question for staff, but I'll let you answer it first.
You talking about the multi-use path?
Multi-use path, the roundabout, just connecting roads and when things open and make sure that it all just goes smoothly.
That question came up in the planning board, and Ashley had a great explanation of how the coordination between this road will work. And if she doesn't mind answering that, or I will.
So as you can see on this document, the first phase planned for this particular development includes the southern entrance to North First Street. And so during planning board, a question was brought up about construction of the northern entrance. Uh, As you may recall, it's a condition of the preserve at Mill Creek that they cannot plat more than 100 units that are south of the existing Mill Creek. They have no connection to existing Mill Creek until that northern connection is either constructed or bonded. And that would be, they would be posting the bond or they would be working with DRB, depending on who gets there first.
So you're comfortable with how this is likely to work out? It's not, we're not leaving ourselves vulnerable.
I think so. And I feel that given that they're back to back with the rezoning, they'll be on a similar timeline when it comes to construction plan review.
And like, if I may, the sewer is down here along the creek down here. And so it makes sense for us to kind of develop the southern portion of the site first, because that's the way the sewer is accessed down here. If we were to get to that street first, then we would build it if we got there before Preserve did, but I'm not sure who's going to get there first, but there's assurances with the condition that it's going to get built.
Kind of building, do you have additional questions?
I have but on a different topic. Do you want to follow up?
Yeah, I want to follow up on that. Kind of building off that, sounds like first come, first served to get some buildings put up right there. Do you foresee any issues, pitfalls, hurdles in regards to all the development going on in this area? There be any, I won't say fighting, but people, you need certain things done before certain things are put in the ground, or anything along that line? Do you need additional roads? Do you need additional developers to be working on their part of their development? Or should everything be pretty autonomous and come together quite well with the other developers?
I mean, we have to tie into, in our phase one, we tie into Preserve here. So, we're working in conjunction with them. We're lining up with their streets. They're not having to get any kind of sewer through us. I mean, their sewer is going to come out down here. So they're kind of autonomous in the way they develop that. And I think the way we all work together to come up with the agreement for the multi-use path. I mean, I think everybody's in sync with doing those all together.
You use the word monotonous regarding townhomes, and that's one of my concerns. And I know we don't take architecture into consideration in our decisions, but I just wanted you to speak about monotony because I think that's a common pitfall of townhomes. And that one building with 6 can look great and have diversity, but then you put 10 or 12 of those buildings up and then now you have some monotony. So I am concerned about that.
The units that you see on the bottom here, these are sort of the same series that's across the street. But you'll notice the 26-foot wide units are placing on the ends of the buildings. So there's variation between this particular unit and the ones across the street to give some variation in style there, because we're adding the larger ones on the ends. And again, I want to go back to the layout. Skipped it. Again, we're trying to orient these things in different directions to keep, as you go through the neighborhood, there's not these long continuous streets of product that just seem like they go on and on forever. The street here, if it was, that street could have gone all the way through to there, and then it had all those units lined up there and all those units lined up there. But I tried to turn those perpendicular to each other, one to give like a terminating vista at the end of a street, but it takes away from what I call the monotony of just lining everything up, facing each other, and so.
And you show on those drawings, you show different facades in the units in a single building, and that's what you plan to do. There'd be some stone, some brick, some different awnings, et cetera. Okay.
Your amenity package was really nice, the pool and stuff. When is that planned to be built in the scheme of development? After 50 houses or where? When are you planning to do that?
Get back to the,
Yeah, that's it.
let me get back to the phase map where you can see going the wrong direction. It's a little bit hard to see on this map, but that is located within phase one.
Okay, good.
So,
Good.
yeah. And this might not be the final design. This was taken from another project, but it will have a pool. It will have a cabana house. It will have a playground, parking. Just the final shape of that pool is not.
One of our concerns is when you do it, that, they say phase two, because you got a lot of people moving in with no amenities. So the quicker you do it, the happier people are, less concern from the council. So that's good. You're gonna do it in phase one. Good.
Just curious about the, go ahead, Tim.
No, go ahead.
Just curious about the price point for everything.
I'm gonna
We
let,
have general ideas.
let Mr. Jackson speak to
Okay, yes,
that.
please.
DRB.
Hi, Jackson McConnell. I'm the land entitlements manager on this project, DRB Group, 1101 Slater Road, Durham, North Carolina. So the price point for this is really going to be driven by the market at the time. It's kind of difficult to know exactly what those will be going into it. I would say if you're looking for an example, I would say look across the street to North First Street. That being a part, kind of a sister development to this one, will drive a lot of what the prices for what this development will have as far as the townhomes are concerned. Obviously, with the 26s, those will probably be set a little bit higher, as well as the 30s beyond that. So,
Can you give any guesstimation what you're looking for right now?
off the top of my head, I don't have those numbers.
Okay.
If I had to guess, somewhere in 3s and 4s, probably.
Track for the townhomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
And you'll be doing the, yeah,
325.
yeah, starting that and going north.
Yeah, for the 20-foot.
Yeah. And I guess you'll be the local builder realtor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all for the house prices.
Is the development across the street that y'all are doing now, that Matt's doing now, that's tied into the roundabout, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there'll be basically three developments tying into that, the Mill Creek and then
Yes.
you and, okay,
Yes.
great.
Actually, not sure if it would be you, but these are all gonna be public streets, right? We have some similar townhomes in town that use an alley. These are all
Yes,
gonna be,
this
okay,
is public streets.
awesome, thank you.
You have a map showing that aerial view so we can see it all together, how it plays into one plan?
Showing all 3 developments.
Aerial or overlay or something.
That may be, is that
The
on your?
phase plan looks like it might show a little more than that particular slide. Phase one. You think the phase map would be?
That,
I'm not sure
go
that.
back to that
So,
one before that one.
right, so he can,
That right there.
right, so we can see where the roundabout is connecting to,
Roundabout's gonna be right there.
Yep.
This is the northern drive to North First Street Towns. And the southern drive to North First Street Towns is right here across from this intersection. So those are all lined up there.
thank you.
Is your commercial going to be build to suit tenant, or you going to pre-build based on the architecture that you deem?
Let Mr. Kirkpatrick answer that one.
Matt Kirkpatrick, Raleigh, North Carolina, 3715 Bridgeton Park Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina. The, what we'll likely do, I'll do some renderings of some buildings, and probably when they move into the second phase of the project and get them out into the market. I've built a lot of these buildings shadowing shopping centers or some in infill locations like this. And there's probably a good dental business out there to be had, a dental orthodontist, maybe a physical therapy or some kind of pain clinic. A lot of the hospitals want to get their physician groups out into the market closer to the to where the residents are, and keep them from, it's just more efficient to do business there. So there's probably some good viable medical tenants for the location. I think we talked about there could be between just our project and the other project, probably 4,000 to 5,000 residents, and total households. So between those two projects, just in the Mill Creek, let alone what connects to it via Stagecoach and back into the original Mill Creek project. So there's thousands of people out there. There's some viable commercial, but we would put out some. There'll be single story, and you asked earlier about the tenant size. It would probably be from 2 to 3 to 5,000 at max. I mean, that would be really big for 5,000 feet. So I could see 4 to 6 tenants. I could also see a daycare showing up and maybe taking that bottom building and we would back up their recreation space to the space by the buffered space behind them, because with all those young families, there'll be some daycare demand. But we'll put out a few building schematics and then see what comes into the market. But
So I guess the answer to the question then would be to build a suit tenant with some architectural limitations on what would fit the
yes,
genre of the neighborhood.
they'd be residential in nature, shingled roof, commercial glass, commercial storefronts, and then using the patio space, which we designed. We would hopefully in the nice pocket park. I mean, you can kind of see the mixed use vision of some outdoor recreation. People visit your large park and, come over to this pocket park. There's plenty of parking, so I think we got about 75 spaces, so we could accommodate a small retail use, whether it be some kind of grill and or ice cream shop, like he mentioned. So someone can service. There'll be that roundabout's going to see a lot of traffic and visibility. So we do believe it's viable, and 15,000 feet is probably about right. So
Well,
I think I was going to say, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I do think it's fortuitous that this community, that these pieces are coming together at the same time. You got this beautiful vision out there about Greenway to connect all those parcels in that watershed, and the residents can easily get into downtown, which I know you want to make vibrant, and so it's fortuitous that we're only dealing with really 2 parties or 3 parties. Lennar, Dan Ryan, myself, because that does simplify things a whole lot. I compare it to, like, I always use the analogy of, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Ocean Isle Beach. It's one man developed all of Ocean Isle Beach, so it's very consistent. It had a lot of controls where you can go to other places and it's just you can tell it was done over decades and decades. So it is good that we can all meet, have these agreements that could be enforced and built, and the vision can come to fruition. So.
Well, we all had kind of a upfront knowledge of the interconnectivity of the greenways, the streets. We just talked about the roundabout last week quite a bit. But I did not meet with you guys beforehand, but I would like to compliment you on a couple of things. It's nice to see a development come before us that there's not payment in lieu of recreation space. There's not a creation of green space by using drainage and swamp and floodplain. So I'd like to compliment you on not only the interconnectivity. I think that's that's been a great plan for the entire area, but you're the green space and the recreation. And on the recreation, I assume the recreation, particularly the pool, will be for this development one across the street. How about the trails? Well, I know one of them connects on I guess it would be the southeast corner would connect to the greenway that's going through, passing through the property. Will the trails on the other side that's actually connected to your amenities, are any of those trails going to be accessible by the general public or just the residents?
They could be. They're designed for this community, but I'll let Tony, and he's the man to thank for the beautiful design, and he did do a wonderful job.
So they are on private property.
Yeah.
They are maintained by the HOA. I don't know that, somebody could walk through there, and I think if they weren't, I don't say this, they were being nice, I think everything would be all right. I mean, if somebody's going through making trouble and tearing up stuff, then they probably have to have something done about that. So it's kind of the same thing with that big, large green. That green is a private space owned by the HOA, but we see people walking across the street from the shops and using that, sitting in the park. And as long as nobody's making trouble out there, I think that can continue. So, but they'd have to police those private spaces for sure.
Understandable. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You know, talking about the commercial part, not only the project across the street, but the two projects on the new ones are going on now. And then that long drive coming out of Mill Creek. I mean, there's no telling how many thousand people in that area. We could add it up real quick. That would be I think would be a hot, commercial spot, particularly for a coffee shop and a clinic and those kind of things. So, we certainly, in our conversations with you, I think we all wanted some commercial spots out there. So that's very, very well done.
Yeah, it'll be a very nice lifestyle. Oh, excuse me. I think it'll be a really nice lifestyle. I mean, there's a lot of open space, very little maintenance. I mean, I'm kind of jealous of myself, you know, the place to be maintained by the HOA, the unit. So it's just, you know, go enjoy the open space and be in by, you know, dark. So for the kids, right?
Mr. Tate, just a question, Mr. B, for clarification. When the final home is built, will the streets be complete at that time? I'm looking at your phase plan, but when you build the final home, the single family portion, you're gonna go ahead and put the infrastructure in and have our streets connecting. So what's happening a lot of times is some residents will say the streets are not complete, where you have manholes still standing or showing. But I understand that when you have construction coming in and you're trying to build a home, at what point will you have your streets completed?
Top coat.
The top coat?
Yeah, I mean, that's really done for, and Matt can explain this as good as I can, but as projects are developing, you know, sometimes you have failures in the street or somebody has to come back and redo a water line connection and all those things that if you put the asphalt down too early, then you're going to have a lot of cuts in the asphalt. And then the city of Mebane is not going to take it over. I mean, you rather have a nice, clean asphalt street. So trying to let the construction get out of there and get the warranty on the fresh asphalt from having to open cut it all the time during construction.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
Quick one. Can you talk to me about the crosswalk? Will that be your responsibility or will it be another developer's
I'll let
responsibility?
Andrew
Okay.
speak to that.
Yes, sir. What's your question?
First Street crosswalk near the roundabout. Can you talk more
Yeah.
about that?
So we talked about this a lot with the approval of the plans across the street, because ultimately they're the ones going to be coming across more often than not. And on those plans, with the approval of this project, the North First Street project, was to provide a high visibility crosswalk through approval with DOT. That's going to change a little bit with the roundabout, I think, with just the location of it and how close it is to that. So that'll be incorporated in the roundabout design, but it will be approved by DOT as a high-vis crosswalk.
What is considered a high, educate me, please. What
Yeah,
is
I
a
think it's
high-vis
just the
crosswalk?
signage leading up to it. I think with it being at the roundabout, that'll also be a lot better for traffic calming. You got people coming into it. There's going to be more reason to slow down than just seeing the signs and the striping. But it's more of the reflectivity of the signage and the striping and the asphalt.
Okay. And no lights, no flashing lights or anything like that?
No, we're not proposed any flashing lights or pedestrian signs like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And there are turn lanes on 119 into the, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
I thought I saw that. I just want to make sure. Any other questions? All right. Does that conclude your presentation? All right, it is a public hearing. Anybody in the audience would like to speak? State your name and your address and who you are,
Tom
sir.
Boney. Tom Boney with the Alamance News, 114 West Elm Street in Graham. Could you go back, there's only a couple of slides to one of the early ones I didn't quite understand. Before this, the part where she gave her presentation. color coded? Yeah, here. I don't understand, in the description, the part that says R8CD, that's on the left side, presumably the western side of 119. Is that a part of this project or no?
It's by the same development team. That's the North First Street Townhome project that was approved in July of 2022.
Right, it's the one they refer to as across the street, and
Mhm.
it's all townhouses.
Correct.
Correct. All right, but you said there were 3 parcels on this side. There's the blue odd shaped one, the R8 one. What's the third one?
So there are 2 parcels, the R8 and O and I. It's the same property. They're just split zoned. And then this property owner is acquiring the plus or minus 1.23 acres of adjacent property that's mentioned in the bullet list from the adjacent Potter's Mill, which is south and creates kind of a tail on that development. There's nothing changing. That's stream buffer and floodplain. It will remain that. However, with the watershed rules, it was important for this developer to acquire a bit more acreage in order to stay at the appropriate percentages.
All right, but everything is on the right side. on the-
Correct. Mhm.
okay. All right, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Tom. Anybody else from the audience? All right, if not,
I move we close public hearing.
we have a motion to close public hearing. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion to approve the R8 conditional district zoning as presented, find that the applicant is consistent with the objectives and goals of the city's 2017 Comprehensive Land Development Plan, Mebane by Design. Specifically, the request is for property within the city's G3 mixed-use growth area and proposes a planned unit development that incorporates commercial and residential uses while preserving green space, encourages a mix of uses in a walkable environment consistent with growth management goal 1.1 in our CLP, provides greenway and open space connectivity between different land uses, consistent with open space and natural resource protection goal 4.2, supports parks, greenway, and open space expansion in developed areas, prioritizing connectivity between each location consistent with the open space and natural resource protection goal 4.3 in our CLP, contributes to an emerging pedestrian bicycle network as required by the city's bicycle and pedestrian transportation plan. And I would add, amends the development we had that was previously approved that was actually more denser.
Right, correct. All right, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
That was a mouthful.
It was. I didn't realize it went to the next page. It kept on. Hey, guys, very nice project. Thank you. All right, moving on, our Downtown Exterior Improvement Grant Awards, Miss Omby. We're gonna wire her out before that. Even.
He's young.
So you all received an overview of our grant program at the last month's meeting when you awarded approximately $7,000 to the Mebane Business Association, but I'll just quickly review. You did allocate $50,000 in the current fiscal year budget, and we are still accepting applications. Applicants must provide at least 2 quotes, and if they are a tenant, must have documented property owner approval. We do require any offsite commitments to have written permission, particularly from the city if it involves our right-of-way or sidewalk. And any changes to the application after you make a decision to award an applicant must be pre-approved by staff. The properties must be within the downtown vision plan area, and it is a matching grant program, so we will reimburse an applicant 50% of qualifying expenses up to $10,000. We consider facade improvements, historic preservation, art, and outdoor seating when reviewing grant request. You have three grant applications before you this evening. The first is 117 West Clay Street, which is the location of Big Oak Restoration. They have the property owner in conversation with her some pretty serious repairs that are needed to the brick and mortar and how the roof is attaching to the structure. And so this would be a request for the maximum matching funds of $10,000, and the request is being made by the property owner, Tammy Scarlett. Another request is from the property owners of 126 West Clay Street, which is the Gourmet Grove. And they are looking to replace the front door, the front and back windows, and also possibly the awning. And this would be a request for just over $6,700. The last request is for 200 North 3rd Street, which is the Go Girl Shop. This request is being made by the tenant with the property owner's permission to replace the 3 awnings on the front of the building shown here in the picture. And this would be a matching grant. The city would provide $900.
Any questions?
Are any applicants here that might want to talk or give the impact of these grants? Okay, never mind. My bad. Oh, yeah.
So Will Atherton, I spoke earlier, but to talk specifically about it,
Yeah.
one things that you may not realize is us being able to get the grants allows us to put more funding inside the stores and also allow, different products to be available and different services within those. So it is a great program that allows us to benefit from that, where we'll have to put out things much longer in time to be able to afford it. So it is a huge benefit to all of us to be able to receive such a wonderful grant. Any questions I could answer?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank y'all.
All right, what's the pleasure of the council?
Motion to award $17,651.83 in downtown exterior improvement grants to the applicants for the project described in the applications.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just glad to see the applications. Let's see some more before the end of the
Please.
fiscal year.
If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Did have one question,
you.
Ms. Ownby. Have any applicants accidentally sent like interior improvement grants your way or requested interior improvements? And you had to unfortunately shut them down?
We've had some conversations, particularly with someone who wanted to replace like their entire roof.
Yeah, that might need an interior grant or something like that. I would be interested if there'd be any opportunity to provide an interior grant. Do we have any opportunities with the city, or have we thought about that, expanding the program? And council, would you be interested in exploring that option? Not committing to anything right now, but exploring it?
It's something I've asked about in the past. It's something I've heard from other folks as well, particularly for either plumbing or electrical improvements or things like that.
We previously researched this, and Mr. Brown, as city attorney, can speak on this. I don't know that general statutes allow grants to be interior, usually public
It looks like
facing.
Burlington, Durham, Raleigh, Rocky Mount, Hickory all have some sort of interior grants.
I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I'll be happy to look at it and report back to you folks.
That would mean a lot, especially now that it's budget season. I'm not saying committing one way or another, but I have heard a lot of people, and especially with our old buildings downtown, it would probably go a really long ways to help rehabbing a lot of those buildings.
Be happy to look at it.
Sir.
I wouldn't, I know when we originally started this idea, it was to improve the visibility and the viability of the downtown area, the structural soundness of the building and how the appearance, the streetscape. I don't know, I would have to give it some thought. I don't know that I have any problem with electrical improvements or plumbing improvements that also impacted the interior. I think we need to be very careful about awarding grants where people upgrade their commercial facade inside for sales or appearances. I think that's
Right.
That's getting into an area I think that this wasn't intended for. I think it was intended for improving the streetscape and the commercial or the structural or usability of the buildings, the viability of the buildings. But I'd have to give it some more thought, but I would probably right now lean to trying to limit to structural or utility issues if we went inside, and nothing to do with facades or presentation of commercial merchandise or something. That seems a little outside this.
The infrastructure of the building. Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on to Recreation and Park Advocacy Commission, the REPAC appointment, Aaron Davis.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, unfortunately, at the beginning of this year, Jesse Olson resigned from his position on RPAC, and we spent the last month accepting applications and received 7 total applications, 4 that are eligible. You've had a chance to review their credentials and recommend you appoint 1 member to the RPAC to fill the remaining 2-year term for Mr. Alston.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Michael Brown.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Michael Brown. I see one of them lives in Burlington. One of the applicants.
Yeah, so the way that our registration software works is we can't cut off ETJ.
Okay.
So we have to leave that open. Sometimes we get outliers.
That cannot be ETJ, Union Ridge Road in Burlington.
Right.
It's 25 miles.
That's right.
And our ETJ is 20.
We
Right.
may annex them at some point.
Well, it could. All right. We need one more, right? That's it, just one? All right, well, good. All right. Tom's disrupting the, okay.
I think you gotta vote.
You
Yeah.
got to vote. Yeah. All those in favor of Michael Brown?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's nothing else,
One minor
come
thing.
before the council.
One minor thing. We had a library committee member step aside after last month's
Yeah.
appointment.
We're re-advertising that from what I understand. Is that correct?
Would it be appropriate to appoint the other person that applied to kind of expedite the process?
Not, I don't know whether we do it tonight, but whatever the
appropriate, Mr.
pleasure of the
Mayor?
council is. You have somebody?
I mean, there were 2 people and one stepped aside, so the other person was Kayla Schilke.
Is it, what is this appointment for?
The library board.
County library.
Oh,
Mebane
Who are the 2?
was,
Was Deborah
there you
Kaufman,
go.
who withdrew
She
her.
withdrew.
Yeah.
And then it was Katie, Kayla. But I have not reached out to her since the other appointment was made to see if she's still interested
Oh.
in that. We
Okay.
typically advertised it again, but
Yeah, let's
whatever the council's direction is, I'm happy to.
advertise it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, Greenway ribbon cutting, Thursday morning at 9:00, March 6th. Look forward to, hope there's a huge turnout. The mayor, is the other mayor coming? You coming, mayor of the dog park? Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little early, isn't it? I don't know who set the 9:00. Council meetings, we have some work sessions on the 13th and the 20th. Our budget work sessions. Something's 1 month away. Yeah, the farmer's market. And what else? If there's nothing else, meeting's adjourned.
Good job, Mayor.
Oh, man. I'm a minute over.
Still on.